Hi, this is Peter at Shenware Software. Eric Hall sent me a couple of videos to show me how he was working the Waybills program, and I like the idea of what he did. So what I'm going to do is do the same thing here to show you a couple of the features in the next Waybill release. On the current release that we have is 6.5, and there's one feature in this that I want to show you. It's up here in the setup menu. Second last line, verify cars, routes, and via, and notes. Now, what we did when we developed the program was to put all the information that was needed to print the waybill on the waybill record itself. So what this window does is if you come along and click on verify cars, it goes through all of your waybills, extracts the AAR car type code, compares it with what's in this edit grid, and points out if it found any other entries. You have the option then to add those entries into this grid. It's exactly the same for the routes, for the via, and the notes. And it's a good idea to run through this window just to make sure that all the entries that you have in the waybills are reflected in the edit grids. Now, with the new release that's coming out, one of the things that Eric suggested was that when you come down here and put the cursor on the bottom of the window and expand it to increase its height, the edit section expands to fill that space to give you more visibility in the locations, industries, notes, and the commodities grid. Another change that we put in is we put two buttons right above the commodity grid: search prototype industries and search home industries. So if I come up here and select diesel fuel and do a search home industry, I find that we have one industry, which is a diesel service track, that wants a shipment of diesel fuel. So I can double click to the waybill, and you can see that when we've got this chain selected here, that it will put this industry in the from location on the next cycle. Because we had diesel fuel as a commodity here, it's put that on the contents, and once that loaded tank car is delivered, it will be unloaded, so the next movement the car will be empty, so we insert an empty Y down here. Now at the same time, the program will do a search for this commodity, diesel fuel, down the commodity grid, and it found that it had an AAR car type code, and it's put that in the upper left hand corner of each of the waybill cycles. So where does this tank car full of diesel fuel come from? Well, to do that, we come back down to the commodity, select diesel fuel, and do a search on type industry. And the type industry window now will show all of the industries that either ship or receive diesel fuel. If my tank car happened to be lettered for the Santa Fe Railroad, I can do a sort on road and come up in TSF here and do a search, and I find that I have, yes, one industry served by the Santa Fe, the Texas company in California, that supplies diesel fuel. So I can do a couple of things to select it, and I could click on insert from industry, or I can come back over here to my waybill and do a right click. Now, how does the program know whether to insert a prototype industry or a home industry? Well, it depends on the last industry that you selected. In this case, it was on the prototype window, so it is inserted a prototype, the industry off of the prototype list. One other thing that, let me show you, if I select frozen vegetables, I find I've got one industry, Federal Cold Storage, that both ships and receives frozen vegetables. Now I'll create a new waybill. We've seen what happens when we had a shipment coming in, that it put the commodity onto the contents line of the current cycle and empty into the contents line second cycle. But if it's a shipment that we want to go out and we double click on here, then it put in MT1 in the contents and the frozen vegetables. Obviously, if this company wants to ship the frozen vegetables, they need an empty card load. So that's showing up in here. Now to insert the via line, this is pretty well the same way as it was before. You simply open up this box, come down, and select an entry. The second method of inserting, let me take this entry out, is that if you want to put in the entry that's currently selected, just click on the insert button. And a third way is give this a click to select it, and then use the scroll wheel on your mouse to run through the entries, and it puts it in. The route list works exactly the same way. I come up here and give it a click, and with the mouse scroll wheel you can see that the entries are changing. Can select the one that I want. Okay, now the other thing that we've done is with the tutorial. Since we now have a tutorial for both Brains and Waybills, you can come up here and click on the tutorial menu and select which tutorial you want to view. So we'll do the one for the Waybills. Any changes that I made to the pages here, in the upper left I put in a revision number and added this checkbox. So when this checkbox is checked, the previous and the next button will go to the next page that has been revised. It won't go to the next current page in sequence. It will go to the next revised page. So in this case I click on next. It goes to page 2 because I've added this note to view only the revised pages. Check the show revision option in the upper left corner. And I go to the next page that was revised. This one, it was just replacing the picture with one that showed that we've inserted the prototype industry, search prototype industry button and the search home industry button. Another page, we added this page, and that was basically going through the demonstration that we just did with frozen vegetables, where a home industry being put into the to location, and we've got the contents that are on the industry record. We take a look at the ship or receive and decide what the content line should be for the current cycle and also for the next cycle. And on this revised page we simply added some notes in here about using the scroll wheel, and this was a revised screenshot of the prototype window. I did have in the previous version another search option up here for the doing search on the commodity when you select the commodity on the home window, but I've taken the option out here because it was more appropriate to put in the search prototype industry button. Okay, so that's pretty well what we've done with the tutorial, and it will be very easy for you to go through and view just the revised pages rather than weeding your way through the 95 pages in the whole tutorial. I won't be putting in this release for a while yet because I imagine there'll be some other additions and changes we'll want to make, but if you do like these features and want to now, you can acquire them, download them off of our preview website at www.shenware.com/preview, all in lowercase, .html. Okay, thanks for tuning in.